Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's Demetrius here, and the purpose of this channel is for those who are in the life insurance space. You're selling high cash value whole life insurance. You're maybe even selling an index universal life insurance and things of that nature. And you're probably also going through either just watching the YouTube videos of Jeremy Miner, or you're probably a part of maybe you bought his black book, maybe you got a part of his program to some degree or another. And I just want to say real quick, I am not like employed by Jeremy Miner, but I have really enjoyed going through the process of understanding NEPQ, simply because it's like what I'm doing is taking away the chance of taking away this idea of I'll do good by chance, and kind of taking a more clinical approach to how you go about sales calls. Because in my opinion, and in my own experience, I should rather say, is I've had plenty of calls that went super well on accident, and I could not quite pinpoint exactly the reason why they went so well. And then I had some other calls that went poorly, and I get that sense that it went poorly, or that it was just like okay. And I'm like, I don't know what I could have done specifically to improve it, other than going maybe this, maybe that. And so that's the reason that I make these videos, is just kind of like sharing with you what my journey is when it comes to how do I personally go about simplifying life insurance sales, when it comes to what we sell, specifically when it comes to overfunded high cash value whole life insurance. So I've kind of shared with you some other videos along the way with regards to my epiphanies that I've had with the connection stage, and my epiphanies that I've had with the situation stage, how those kind of coincide with one another. And then now I'm bringing in the problem awareness stage. And I would say that right there, for me personally, I think probably for those watching this, that's the biggest epiphany, or the biggest unlock, I would say, is once you can understand and kind of have this third party view, or out dare I say outer body experience view of you doing problem awareness. I think it's a huge unlock, because that's the point right there that I think most salespeople never really get to, or they only get to it accidentally. And that was my problem. I got to it accidentally, not really knowing what I was doing specifically. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the actual script here that I use within my calls, specifically even to this day, and we'll go from there. So when it comes to how we start the call, I'm not going to go through all of this that much, but ultimately the point of connection questions, outside of just what you're seeing here, is to get a clear understanding of what it is that they want in the problem. Because usually what happens is people are going to share with you what it is they want, and therein lies, or there's an underlying problem that presents itself when they tell you exactly what it is that they want. Situation questions is getting a lay of the land. What do they currently have in place? And then once you have the lay of the land in place, that's when you now have the permission to delve a little bit deeper. Okay. And so I think what happens is, when I was learning problem awareness, I'm seeing this, and I don't think this statement here clicked for me. I went through this with one of the coaches at NEPQ, or at seventh level, and he shared with me some really good stuff. And this is what he shared with me. And every coach kind of has a slightly different verbiage and all this, but it's like what's missing from the situation that's causing the overarching problem. That makes sense on the surface. Then I go, that just sounds weird. It doesn't really quite click for me. And so one of the things that I've come to realize is that when it comes to problem awareness, and when you're selling life insurance, ultimately what we're trying to find out here is why life insurance, right? So here, let's start from the top, right? What is it that you want? What's the problem that you're dealing with? What's the problem that you're facing? Okay, cool. Let me get a lay of the land. Where are you at with regards to all things life insurance, or just where you're storing your capital, or what retirement looks like, or how you go about making investments and things of that nature? Like, where do you store capital? Like, I'm getting a lay of the land with the situation. And then right here, it's like, okay, but why life insurance? Right? You told me the problem, you told me your situation, but why life insurance? This is what we're trying to do. And so we what we don't want to do, and this is where a lot of salespeople can kind of get in trouble. They feel like they know the problem, perhaps they feel like they have the situation, perhaps they fact find the crap out of them, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and prescribe. And I think that's the issue that can happen sometimes, that we don't delve a little bit deeper. So we talk about emotional drivers with any PQ, which is all important, but it's like it has to be a natural flow of conversation, right? It can't be an abrupt change, so where all of a sudden you want to just give a bunch of direction in solutions, because you just got there a little bit too soon. Even if your solutions are 100% accurate, and they should go do that thing because it's going to better them off, I mean, cool, but they're not really ready for that. And so what we want to do is instead of us taking our brain and like laying it all on them, what we want to do instead is this. What we want to do is say, okay, let's ask the right questions to have you, prospect, client, whatever, tell me why it is we're talking. Okay. So I may, if you ever saw any of my previous videos, I could say this word of like, how did we get here? Like what are we doing here? Kind of getting at that at that fact. But I'm ultimately asking it in a different way and from a different angle because now I have a little bit more context. I have the lay of the land, and so I have the permission to even go as far as to say, yes, what causes you to feel like the 401k and the IRA and the brokerage account that you have just may not be enough, right? Like it's helping me to unlock why are we here from the very beginning? Why do you want life insurance? And then what we do is we start to probe and we start to clarify what it is that we're saying. And if you know that that's the end result of this, what ends up happening is that you can then pay a lot closer attention to the responses that they're giving you, the body language that they have, the tonality that they're using with the words that they're sharing with you, and you can start to, if you sense a little bit of uncertainty, you can say it's you can literally say something to the effect of, "It sounds like you're uncertain," right? It sounds like, right? You then have this outer body experiences where if they're telling you a bunch of stuff, and I've experienced this right here, this is what comes to mind. This was the little blip in thought I had is because I was thinking of the situation where I'm in the middle of a conversation. This was last week, and I go, I don't feel like we have narrowed in on exactly what you want yet, right? I don't think we've made the decision yet. Like you have the permission to say things like that. It's like it sounds like you're kind of teetering, right? Is it this or is it that? And this is when we were talking about the actual life insurance illustration in and of itself, but there's been a lot of trust that had built up between myself and that prospect up to that point in time, and now that particular prospect is in underwriting. Okay, and so one last thing that I'll say here, right? Just summarizing this is that I think in some circles there's this idea that says um, you can't you can't ask the question why because maybe it's too abrasive or because maybe uh, um, it's just it's just almost offensive. And I beg to differ. I beg to differ because if you go and do NEPQ the right way, and you're starting with connection, you're getting some trust from the very beginning. They start to feel like you actually understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish, and you actually understand what the lay of the land is of the situation. You have the permission to ask why. Like I may start with this exact question, but as I'm probing, right? As I'm probing and clarifying, how do you mean? How long has this been going on? Like just so I can see the rationale, all that sort of stuff. As I'm probing and I'm clarifying, if I get to a point where I'm realizing like, okay, I'm not clear, I straight up say it. I hear X, I hear Y, and I hear Z. I'm not really putting the full picture together. Why life insurance? Why do you want to redirect cash flow to life insurance? Like you can straight up ask that and they're not going to feel offended because you've asked a lot of questions. And what that does is builds the gap to a large degree in terms of their mind, even just early on, right? I didn't even get to solution awareness yet, but there's a lot of trust that's been built because you are coming off as an authoritative figure who knows their stuff and not just trying to pitch a product. Okay. So that's an epiphany I had as early as this morning. And I hope that's helpful. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll keep putting out more videos like this as they come about and as I think about them.